From the silver forests of Gallifrey to the amber skies of Skaro, this is Mad Fans with a Podcast. Listen now or be exterminated. Exterminate!
All right. This is Alexis. And would you guys like to introduce yourself?
Hey, this is James.
And this is Scott.
And this is Mad Fans of the Podcast.
And we certainly are mad.
We have a lot of problems, but we're not going to go into that now.
This is not that kind of podcast.
Therapy. We might need a therapy session after this. I don't know. A whole new podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole new podcast right there.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. What did we think? What are we giving you Nightmare in Silver on a scale of 1 to 10?
11.
Sorry,
the joke was there. I had to do it.
Is that how you actually feel, or you really liked it?
I loved it.
Oh, God, it was awesome.
I had started out the episode thinking, oh, dear Jesus, this is going to be a shitty episode. I'm not looking forward to it at all. And it surprised me. The thing that surprised me were the Cyberman. The one Cyberman. They didn't make a big deal about it. Or they didn't make a big deal about the one Cyberman. He was just there. And he was a presence. And he had new abilities that he could, I guess, walk or run or whatever at the speed of light. And he was terrifying. And for once, the Cybermen were terrifying, which is awesome.
And all their new abilities to upgrade on the fly, I thought was incredible.
Our friend Moose had mentioned that they were like Borg now, or maybe it was you, or maybe it was me. I don't remember. We all kind of blend in together. But, they're like Borg now. They can adapt to their environments, and they can adapt to each changing. I don't know what you want to call it. Their weaknesses have now become their strengths, which is amazing.
I like it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 just because of a few minor things. I did not like the kids in this episode, and they kind of ruined what would have been a 10 or 11 for me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree with you there. I do agree. I would give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I think the kids were unnecessary. They just kind of made easy targets. But
see, I have to disagree with both of you there, because I think the kids, they posed the typical damsel in distress thing, and that's maybe what you guys were thinking about, is the damsel in distress. However, they gave motivation to the Doctor for Clara actually to step up and actually show some balls for once as a companion. And be a companion, and not just this enigma that the Doctor's trying to figure out. I think the kids posed a very realistic problem in a very unrealistic world. The kids have been turned over to cyber leaders. The kids have been assimilated, and now it is the Doctor's turn to save them. However, the Doctor has now become incapacitated because of the cybermats. He's become cyber planner. And so now it's Clara's job to save the kids without help from the Doctor.
Not even cybermats anymore. Cybermites.
No, cybermites, yes, they've gotten smaller. And I think it was absolutely brilliant. I think it was brilliant planning. And although you guys may think that, the kids are just damsels in distress, they posed a very realistic problem in a very unrealistic world.
Well, that's actually not the problem I had. I had a problem with the characterization of the kids. I felt like, well, especially the girl, I understand they were trying to do the bratty teenager thing, and it's like, I get that, but it was over the top, I felt like. And also, I feel like the kids just in this really random episode just kind of show up, and there's just for no reason, I feel like.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like about that was it started out with the Doctor, Clara, and the kids coming out of the TARDIS, and they had no rhyme or reason. They didn't give any introduction into them walking into the TARDIS. They didn't give any introduction to them coming with the Doctor. It just started out on this planet with the Doctor, Clara, and the two kids, which to me was a very poor way to start. But instead of making it rush to the end, they kind of skipped forward and played it out very well. So this episode did not feel rushed to me like any of the other episodes did. I think they played it out very well. They just skipped a little bit in the beginning. And maybe there's a prequel that we're missing. Maybe there's a prequel that wasn't aired, and maybe we'll find it later that would make more sense into rewatching the episode and thinking, excuse me, I get it now. But, it just started with all four of them, and that was kind of a confusing way to start it. So
I'm also very, very glad that they didn't rush it this time, because that's been their biggest problem this season, is that it's been rushed. Are you eating chips or are you typing?
Oh, no, I pulled.
I'm not doing anything. I don't know.
that might be me. So I apologize.
This is by far one of the best episodes of the season and one of the best episodes I've ever seen. This is not the first time a Doctor has had to play a villain against himself, which in the Tom Baker episode Meglos, he had to play against himself. He had to play both the hero and the villain, which was brilliantly done. And this episode, they did it again, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Because there's no greater enemy than yourself.
Getting philosophical on a...
Neil Gaiman definitely
like read a book or some fortune cookies or something.
He definitely knows how to write an episode. I will give him that, and I really hope he comes back and does another episode. Because an interview that I read that he did, he said even after Nightmare on Silver, he said he still doesn't think that he's terrified anyone yet. He wants kids and adults alike to be behind the couch, pools of wee, as he said.
Okay.
Well, I have to say, after the Weeping Angels episode, I was never really terrified of watching the Weeping Angels, but I had nightmares about them. I had nightmares about Daleks, even. So, even then, it's kind of terrifying. You're not really scared of it on TV, but you're scared of it in your dreams, and that's what makes it realistic. Is that if it can get to you, then he's done something right.
Yeah. So. Speaking of Neil Gaiman writing episodes, how do we feel that this compares to his last episode that he wrote, The Doctor's Wife?
Which was the Idris episode?
Yes. With the human-ish TARDIS.
I tell you what, I personally believe you shouldn't compare an artist's work to one of his works, because in reality they were two different circumstances. He was writing for two different circumstances, basically. He was under different conditions at the time. You can't really... I'm not going to compare one of Picasso's work to another one of Picasso's work, simply because they're all masterpieces. They're each beautiful in their own sense of way, and I personally love The Doctor's Wife. I thought it was a brilliant episode. I thought it showed a very wide gambit of emotions, and it struck home. And with Nightmare in Silver, that struck home too. In this season, I've had a really hard problem with all of these episodes being scary for children and not for adults. And finally, I think we've hit the episode where it's scary for adults, but because this season has been so childish, this episode did not have as big of an impact as he would have liked it to. But I still thought that it was a brilliant episode nonetheless.
Definitely.
I see what you're saying, and then James just answered the question, so we will move on. I started a rant on accident that was unintentional.
Sorry, I'm feeling really windbaggy tonight, so forgive me.
No, that's okay. That is okay. So, let's see. Are there any other final thoughts on the episode? What do we think of the Cybermites or the Cyber Planner? Is that something we'd like to see used again?
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Because
I'm sorry, I think you guys overlapped.
Well, Scott, you go ahead first.
I like the fact that they don't have the Cybermats anymore. I think their technology's evolved so far that they can make them much, much smaller and much more. I don't want to say deadly, but much more dangerous. And I thought that was really good. The whole cyber leader thing I thought was played out really well, kind of infecting the Doctor's mind. And I don't know if they do bring him back next time, maybe have it affect like a companion or someone random, and have the Doctor save him from that, and still be able to see the whole, back and forth between their two sides.
I disagree. I would not like to see any more of what happened in this episode again, for the very reason that I think it worked for this episode. I don't think it'll work for another episode. I think that it was gorgeous under the circumstances that they were so far into the future that the Cybermen have evolved to better and better technology. However, Neil Gaiman did leave the episode off in a way that it could be picked up again. He showed the Cybermites floating off into space, still active and still alive, which is very brilliant. However, I don't want to see another circumstance where the Doctor has to face a person who is battling between the good and evil inside their minds, because it will not work again. It will be a repeated work, and it will not be good to the masses. However, that being said, I do want to see an episode where it is in the style of Spare Parts, where we see the Cyberman beginnings, where we see very, very primitive Cybermen. Maybe get back the silver spray painted jumpsuits and see basic Cybermen again. See the beginnings. I think that would be a terrifically terrifying episode, and I think it'll work incredibly well. Plus, it'll encourage viewers to go and get audiobooks. So.
Very good, and I also have a little thing to add on to that. I would like I would like to see them do the same thing like your Spare Parts with the audio adventure that I listened to, just called Davros and the origins of Davros and the whole downfall of Skaro. I would love to see that, to see him before, in flashbacks, to see him before he got all his injuries.
Yeah.
And have him go into flashbacks about all the things that happened during the war on Skaro. I think that would be really cool too.
You know what would be a cool episode? Technically, the Doctor did not meet Davros until, I believe it was Revelation of the Daleks, that Tom Baker episode. And I had read or I had heard
Genesis.
somewhere in an interview. What?
Genesis the Daleks.
Yeah, that's
Revelation,
what it was.
I think, was Sixth Doctor.
Yeah. Anyway, to have like maybe the Doctor find Davros like all dusty and whatever, like hidden away, or like remnants of Davros's body, and maybe have the Doctor tell a story to Clara instead of having him actively be part of the story. Excuse me. Have the Doctor tell Clara a story, and have the Daleks try to resurrect Davros, and meanwhile, while the Doctor is trying to tell Clara the story, we see flashbacks of what Davros was and how he became the way he was, and why he is the way he is. And at the end of the episode, Davros is resurrected. There's a new story arc for you right there. The resurrection of Davros. The resurrection of Davros. There we go. I am an unbelievable fucking writer right here.
You should send that to the BBC.
Yeah. But there we go. There's the story arc right there. The resurrection of Davros.
I really don't know how well it would work with Matt Smith as the Doctor.
Well,
he's probably leaving soon, so it might not be an issue anymore.
Allegedly.
It might not work for Matt Smith's Doctor. However, it is a story arc that could be done, and resurrection of Davros. Bring back one of the old Davros actors, or maybe bring back a cyber Davros or something like that, or who knows? I mean,
oh god,
there's so many things that could be done with Davros.
You just gave me a whole nother idea. Cyber Davros.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, merger between the Cybermen and the Daleks. Oh, ooh.
Well, I mean, the two most terrifying forces in that galaxy combined, it will get pretty terrifying.
It will get pretty terrifying. Okay. Not that I don't think this tangent is absolutely fascinating, but no, it actually really is. That wasn't sarcasm for once.
Strange.
But let's move on. Let's see. We've talked about Nightmare in Silver. Let's talk about the clip we saw at the end and also the prequel for The Name of the Doctor. First of all, let's talk about the trailer at the end. I didn't feel like it was that special. It just seemed didn't tell me anything, so
Well, I think they
I
did
don't
that on purpose
probably
because they didn't want to give away a lot of big secrets. They wanted to be as vague as possible, so that way they can have some sort of big flashy ending. Um, Although I'm not sure if they're going to be able to accomplish all they're going to accomplish in the very brief 40 minutes that they do have on air. Scott and I were looking up spoilers for the new episode because our listeners who are lucky enough to have ordered the season 7 part 2 on DVD and happen to get it early know exactly what we're talking about and probably are going to be laughing at us. But
yeah, if they even
they're
got the things early, but that's a
yeah,
whole another rant.
but
My journalist instincts tell me no, that it was a hoax,
your
just
Sarah
based on
Jane instincts.
yes,
Well,
I do.
yeah, I'm beginning to think so too because I have yet to see, you know, any proof aside from, the packaging, which could have easily have been done by a BBC America employee. They're like,
Yeah.
hey,
Exactly.
here it is, and then the title scene, and that's all that we've seen as far as leaked photos. But I'm on the
However,
fence about it.
well, you see, Moffat did promise that if nobody leaked the spoilers and nobody told the ending to it, he would release a special video with Matt Smith and David Tennant. And I'm on the fence whether or not that's actually going to happen. But
I
he did promise that if nobody told any of the secrets, he would release this to the fans. And I thoroughly believe that he will keep his word.
I think it is a promise, but I think he planned it that way.
Well, that could be true.
Yeah. But yes. So
I'm just the only thing that concerns me is the fact that Wikipedia was hacked and had supposedly spoilers on it. Don't know if that was an inside job or not. I don't
Well, you
think it
see,
was. It
here's
could have
the
been all
deal.
fan made. You never know.
Well, they may be rigorously patrolling the internet to make sure that none of the Name of the Doctor stuff comes out before Saturday. Which, although it's highly unlikely, it's still a possibility. And although we haven't seen any videos, we've seen plenty of synopsis or synopsi, whatever you want to call it, online. One of the synopses that Scott had sent me was this is spoilers for anybody who may or may not care. Um, Clara meets all 11 doctors, and she ends up, well, she meets the first 9 doctors plus Smith. They still don't know what David Tennant has to do with it yet, but they've used stock footage from all the first 9 doctors to and then they've superimposed Clara on each one of these. The first one was the first Doctor and Susan. They're on Gallifrey and they steal the TARDIS for the first time and they leave,
I'm
and
wondering
it
how
shows.
that's stock footage, though.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They said
yeah.
it was from an unearthly child. However, Gallifrey does make an appearance in this upcoming episode, which is very unusual because, as far as we know, Gallifrey is completely destroyed. However, Matt Smith's Doctor can go back in time to old Gallifrey and visit, which he does have a time machine, and it is breaking laws of time, basically. And the third Doctor is stock footage from the 5 Doctors, where John Pertwee is driving Bessie and nearly runs her over, and we see Bessie, or we see parts of Bessie, which is awesome.
You did skip the second Doctor, though. What
Well,
episode did they take that
I
from?
don't know the
Don't.
second Doctor. They didn't
Oh,
show
they
the second
didn't.
Doctor. It was just from that video you had sent me. But they show Celeste McCoy hanging from the banister from Dragonfire. They show the Sixth Doctor in the background, which Scott and I have both seen that, and that is 100% true. Um, they show, I don't know, the Fifth Doctor. I don't know about the Eighth Doctor. I don't know about the Ninth Doctor. And they said David Tennant's Doctor is completely unknown. They have no idea what he has to do with it. However, this makes me lead to think that someone did say, or there some online spoilers did say that this video or this upcoming episode was to lead directly into the 50th anniversary episode, which could mean that Clara meets the first 9 doctors, and her meeting with the 10th doctor leads into the 50th anniversary episode, where now Clara is traveling with David Tennant and Rose Tyler, and they have to find Matt Smith and give her back to him.
I have also heard that, and again, if you're listening, even though he already told you spoilers, another spoiler. I have heard that John Hurt will be appearing at the end of Saturday's episode.
Really,
Yes,
I hadn't heard
that's-
that yet.
And I
That's
do
what
have
I read.
I have the full list of Claire meeting the old doctors here. So first
Yes.
doctor, newly shot footage of him and Susan stealing the TARDIS on Gallifrey. He turns to see Clara, and then it's colorized footage of Hartnell and an unearthly child. Second Doctor running in his big coat from the Five Doctors. Third Doctor and Bessie from the Five Doctors. Fourth Doctor from the Invasion of Time. Fifth Doctor from the Arc of Infinity. Sixth Doctor is walking behind Clara in the TARDIS hallways. Seventh Doctor hanging from the cliff in Dragonfire. And Eighth Doctor regenerating into Hurt's character, who will be playing the real Ninth Doctor / Lost Doctor. And then Eccleston...
And then they will show him regenerating into Eccleston, and
Yes.
Eccleston regenerating into Tennant, which
Basically,
means the Time War saw a doctor that did not make it to this whole episode, this whole series, this whole fandom. John Hurt will be the doctor that didn't exist.
The doctor that time forgot. But that gives fans not only the one regeneration scene that we're missing, which is 8 to 9, but also 8 to
Bonus.
semi-9 and semi-9 to what we refer to right now as 9, but possibly 10.
So, because of this new thing, do you guys think that fans will now refer to Eccleston as 10, Tennant as 11,
I don't
and
know.
12?
It's just I think there'll be something like the Lost Doctor or 8.5
Exactly.
or Hurt Doctor, whatever. I don't think that it's just going to change.
What if the John Hurt Doctor is actually the Valeyard?
That would be dun 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 dun.
You blew my mind. But also, they said it was between his 12th and 13th lives.
Well, this would mean, you never know. The whole timeline is all fucked up now, so it could be anything.
More.
Completely.
It could be anything. I mean, you never really know what could be going on inside Moffat's head, and we won't really know until Saturday, and then we won't really know until November. So,
and then we won't really know until season 8, and then it's just
then we probably won't know
and then
until
we won't
season
really know
11.
until after Matt Smith regenerates, and then we won't really know. We'll never really know
because we're still hanging on cliffhangers from season 5. So
yeah.
Well, do you guys think the Silence will come back at all?
Yes,
at some point they have to, because they seem to be like a yin and yang thing with the Whispermen. They have to come back.
Well,
I feel
the
like
Whispermen, that is, for the viewers who are unfamiliar, that is the supposed antagonist in the upcoming episode, this Saturday, The Name of the Doctor. The Whispermen are very reminiscent of the Trickster from Sarah Jane, and I'm kind of wondering if they are of the same, I guess, race or same species of creature. I wonder if that is a thing.
Also, another big spoiler that I've heard, and I cannot comment on. I have no idea whether this is true or not, to be honest. But in the video that I sent James, it says that Strax turns evil and either gets stunned or shot by Vastra, which would make sense as to why they aren't doing a spinoff. And personally, I'm glad they're not doing a spinoff. But yeah.
But
Well, it did say somewhere that Strax is going to a place that he can call home. So I guess that would mean that he would finally die, so that he can die for Santar and go back to wherever he thinks Santarans go back to.
Yeah. Because it never really explained, and I wonder if this is going to have to tie into this last episode, how he came back to life after that whole battle sequence, and they released a kind of prequel about it, if you guys remember, where it
Yeah.
shows him after that battle coming back to life, and he's just all confused and disorientated, and what? I'm supposed, where he's supposed to be dead.
Yes. Well, he did get attacked by the memory worm in the Christmas episode, so I mean that could be another thing where he completely forgets and then he has a memory relapse or something gives him a memory relapse and he thinks he's a warrior again. So that could be another thing right there.
Very true.
Yeah, yeah. Woo! So excited for this new episode.
I am, because
I am, and I'm hoping
like,
it's not a letdown.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, after all this big ado, I mean, or hoopla even, I mean, I just hope it doesn't disappoint at all.
I hope he's smart enough to at least not try to cram everything into one episode and leave plenty of stuff for the 50th and whatever else they might be
Well,
doing.
with the appearance of all, I guess now 10 doctors, plus Tennant and Smith, with the appearance of all of them in this episode, one, that would give a reason why there will not be an appearance of all the classic doctors in the 50th anniversary, which now makes sense, and I forgive Moffat for that.
Yeah.
And if he is planning on putting the lives of 9 different doctors or 10 different doctors into this one episode, that would also make sense. And at the beginning of this season, before the Christmas episode, I had mentioned to one of my friends that I wonder if Clara actually is somebody that all 11 doctors have met, and this new season would be something that the doctor would have to spend searching through all of his past lives, trying to find this one person that he met, and trying to remember why he had met her and on what occasions he had met her, because this could be deja vu. That if he had met her through all 11 or all, I guess, 11 incarnations now, that the Matt Smith incarnation would mean Clara's catchphrase "Remember me" would have some sort of meaning behind it rather than just being a catchphrase.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think a few of those like quick little spoiler posts, running through Tumblr and whatnot have mentioned this is not the first regeneration she's met. How many is, up for debate until Saturday / the 50th. But
also,
Feeds
here's another
all
thing.
the doctors.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing I'm wondering. Where is I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Why the hell is she on Gallifrey? Like, how the hell is she got on Gallifrey? Gallifrey is I think it's a Class A closed planet, which means only enlightened planets who have discovered time travel and quantum travel can visit Gallifrey and learn from them. Planets and species who have not discovered it yet cannot visit Gallifrey, cannot legally be entitled to come to Gallifrey. But Clara, how did she get there? Because she doesn't even know time travel. The only thing she knows is being with the Doctor.
Well, this is, I don't know.
And we all remember the last time she flew the TARDIS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she could be snuck in illegally. I mean, who said everything is by the books?
Exactly.
Going over the border.
It's not going to be the first person the Doctor has smuggled into Gallifrey.
That's true.
Yeah. There's also a theory online, and these are just getting into crack theories now.
like drugs?
not that fun, no.
Okay.
there was a theory that I'm just seeing now that she is this lady called this Time Lord Gallifreyan lady called Patience, and that she's, I don't know, some kind of regeneration of her. the interesting thing is she's only appeared in the books and stuff, so I don't know how
The
showing.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
if you look at it,
I'm looking
they
at it.
have they've had a really hard time trying to incorporate stuff from the audio adventures in the books into the television series because not a lot of people have the ambition to go out and buy the books or the audio adventures,
Yeah, so
which is really
I'm hoping
unfortunate.
it
But I mean,
is
if you
hoping that.
look at it in the, I believe it's in the one of the newer Master episodes. After the Master is burned ceremonially, his girlfriend or whatever takes his ring and runs off. And there are many who believe that that is actually the Ronnie, and she is the Ronnie because she has well, I guess she could use Time Lord powers from the ring and become an evil version of or a Time Lord version of herself, and yada yada yada. But that would mean that she would go back. She would be a female master and work with herself during the classic years. Am I
well,
making any sense at all?
But
kind of.
I
I
feel
get
what
it.
you're saying. I get it.
But I
Ish.
mean,
Like
it just the
from
whole Time Lord thing, her being a Time Lord, it may or may not work.
from the spoilers that I have heard, nowhere near. And while the ideas sound very awesome, the spoilers that I've heard are also quite awesome. These are the big ones that I read in a post that said that it was from the leaked episode. Now I don't know if it's true or not, but spoilers. Or should I do it in my best river voice? Spoilers. Um,
Oh, speaking of
basically,
that, go on.
um, the the Doctor's life is in mortal danger. The Great Intelligence takes over, and the only way that she can save the Doctor is to jump into the time vortex, where she splinters off into a bunch of different time zones, basically to the Doctor's weakest points, where the Great Intelligence has left his mess, and she fixes it.
That seems
That's
like
That would make sense. However, Clara has signed on to be the companion for the next season after this one gets over
yeah.
with. So if
Not sure
she
how they make that
dies
work.
or if she's splintered into time, how the hell does she come back and be the companion for the next season?
yeah,
Well,
unless
Unless they're gonna
they
completely
they
quote
did have
unquote wipe her memory.
well, no, they did have a resolution to it. So again, spoilers. Basically, what happens is her going back and undoing all that the Great Intelligence has done. Basically, she destroys the Great Intelligence earlier on in time, making the Great Intelligence not have been at Trenzalore to begin with, not causing all this havoc. And so time reasserts itself. The whole thing never happened,
Yeah.
basically, is how this spoiler resolved itself. So that makes sense. She goes back in
That
time, fixes everything. It never happened, and now she's here.
Well, that does make a lot more sense rather than her being a trap from the Great Intelligence. She's a trap for the Great Intelligence.
Yes.
that's
So instead
interesting
of the Great
too.
Intelligence creating her, she destroys the Great Intelligence. Or the Great Intelligence could have created her, and she turns right around and destroys it. So, I mean, you never know. But I know that the Great Intelligence, the man who plays, I don't remember his name, but he was in the Christmas episode. The Top Hat Man, the really creepy snowman guy, does make a return appearance in this upcoming episode with the Whispermen. So I'm kind of excited to see under what circumstances he comes back.
Yes. I think I'm really hoping Saturday is not a disappointment. I don't think it will be. I really the only fear that I have is that it's going to get rushed.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think
And,
it will be
But
because. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was thinking that if basically the whole Fields of Trenzalore thing is just a very small backstory, and then they basically just do flashbacks of the Nine Doctors and the whole story with the Great Intelligence, I think they could do that in if you take out the commercial breaks, a 46-minute episode.
I think since Clara, there is actual video of Clara almost being run over by the Third Doctor. There, I don't think that they will have. I don't think it'll be Rush, but I think Clara actually physically meets all of the Doctor's incarnations before being split up into the time vortex. which I think, me personally, I believe she tries to go around to all individual doctors and tries to handle them individually, but realizes she can't do that, and then goes to Gallifrey to seek help, or seeks help from Gallifrey, or seeks some sort of assistance from there, and that's when she realizes her only solution is to sacrifice herself in the time vortex. That would be a great episode to me.
That would
Yes.
be great. And I'm not worried because it seems like the Moffat episodes, at least this season, have been the ones that I've enjoyed for the most part. Like Asylum of the Dogs, The Snowman. So I'm just glad that he's finally writing an episode again.
Yeah, well, I mean, instead of, sitting on his lazy ass and making us cry all the time, I mean, he's...
Oh,
Drinking our tears out of a golden cup.
Yeah. This is how I stay so young. I drink the tears of the living. Oh, God. Does Stephen Moffat really have that kind of voice? I hope not. It's terrifying. But, yeah, I'm excited to see this new episode. I'm excited to see where it'll twist and turn, and hope it doesn't disappoint.
I trust Moffat as a writer. As a showrunner, not so much, but as a writer, I trust Moffat. So
yeah,
yes.
I've liked
that's what I'm
most of his episodes, just his singular episodes. Now, when it comes
even
to
his two-parters.
story arc, yeah.
Like The Empty Child, the Doc's
Stephen
Dances.
Moffat, if you're listening to this currently, we absolutely love you and adore you. Please don't give up.
Yes.
You never know. You never know.
Just write more episodes.
Yes, write more episodes and be more involved, because I feel like we've just got a bunch of random mishmash of writers this season just together, kind of doing what they want.
I really thought you were going to say midgets. I don't know.
Not midgets this season.
Yeah.
There's only one.
We don't say the M word. We call them little people.
Oh my God. Well, there was.
Sorry, that's where my mind was going.
There was a little person in Nightmare in Silver, so it's
yes, Warwick Davis.
Who
God
did
bless
an amazing
that
job. Except he did not look like the statue, so I was like,
Well, they did that to make him seem more regal. They did the same thing with. It was a very, very great episode reflecting the Roman Empire, which as being kind of a historical freak, I absolutely adored the historical reflection that time does repeat itself. And that's one of the things that I think Doctor Who has been lacking, is that time repeats itself, but Doctor Who has been creating so many different points in time that are so new that they need to go back and start repeating great events, like the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. This is basically what that was the emperor goes into hiding. All these statues were created to make him seem more godlike and more regal and more awesome. And then come to find out he's just an average Joe, just like the rest of us. And it introduces a very, very humbling sense of humility. And it makes you think that just because you have a title doesn't mean that you're entitled. It just means that, you have this special opportunity and you got to take it.
I like that. I think James should teach a philosophy class start now, because
I think James
tonight
should go
it's
start working
getting
for
deep.
the BBC.
What?
I said I think you should start working for the BBC.
Yeah, it's my dream job. BBC, if you're listening, I'm for hire. James Hodge, come and find me. James Hodge at doan.edu. Come and give me a job.
Come and give me a job.
And me.
And me. Well, I'm hoping when I study abroad to maybe go intern there. So fingers crossed. But yeah, Scott and I were talking about internships earlier, but that's a whole.
That's a
whole. Oh yeah, well I'm planning on taking an internship abroad as well, my junior year. So that's kind of awesome.
Same
I've never been out of the country.
Funny enough.
Awesome.
My junior year, but
we should talk about in these last 20 minutes of us having our wonderful podcast here. We should talk about. Let's see here. Through this season, what has been the highlights that we absolutely adore, the one thing that we just absolutely love about this season, and the one thing we absolutely despise about this season? So,
Okay.
whoever wants to go first, your questions are: what did you love about the season, and what did you not like about the season?
I'll
I
start.
will
Oh,
go.
go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead,
oh,
Alexis. Go ahead.
okay. Thank you. Well, I really liked. I feel like most of the first half of the season, I really liked the snowman. That was personally, I think, has been my favorite episode so far. Maybe up there with Nightmare and Silver. I really liked both of those. What I did not like, the point to continue on the point I was talking about, is how it feels like there's been just this conglomerate of random writers in the second half who don't. I don't feel like they're comparing notes and keeping up with each other because I feel like we have one episode where Clara is this type of person, and then the next episode she'll
She has not been
be,
defined. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. I feel like she hasn't been defined, and I feel like that's a problem with the writers not getting together and figuring out what they want to do with her.
A note on that.
Yeah.
Before you continue on, a note on that. That is actually one of the big reasons that led to the downfall of Doctor Who in the 80s is they had a lot of new writers and new editors because John Nathan Turner wanted to bring in new writers and new editors, and it obviously did not work out until towards the end of Sylvester McCoy's reign, and then we all know what happened. By then, the ratings
Yeah.
were too bad to even bother keeping it going. But I'm really hoping that Moffat learns from this mistake. Now you can continue after my rant. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I was pretty much done with my point, but like you
Full
said,
circle
and
back to what I. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
there have been a lot of new editors and different producers and stuff on the show, and apparently, who keep there seems to be this revolving door, and I feel like that needs to stop.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I do enjoy new writers, and I don't discourage it at all. It's awesome to get new blood in there and new ideas and new awesome stuff in there. However, they cannot do all new editors and all new writers all at
Yes,
once. They have to
Exactly.
have a steady transition into, maybe one season they have, out of a staff of 5 writers, they have 2 new writers. And then the
exactly.
next season, when these 2 writers have learned how to write a season and what to expect from the season, maybe 2 more new writers come in. So that way they have 2 medium experienced writers, 1 expert writer, 2 new writers, and
Exactly.
maybe continuing that.
It's not that I do not. It's not that I discourage new blood at all. That's what keeps the show going. I think why the show has been so successful is they're able to keep bringing in new faces, new people, go do new things. But when it's constantly happening and nobody kind of knows what they're doing and running around with chickens with their head cut off, it's not going
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah. My 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 favorite thing about this season, a favorite episode, definitely Nightmare on Silver. So far, I'm hoping next week's is my favorite, but Nightmare on Silver I thought was the high point. If you're talking the first half of the season, I would have to say probably. Believe it or not, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. I did not like the episode when I first saw it, but I rewatched it and I thought it was a really good, fun-loving episode. Things that I did not like about the season. I've stated this before. I thought it felt very rushed. And to add on to Alexis's point, yes, I thought the writers didn't know, or basically the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. More story arcs. I'm gonna reiterate that for a third week. Bring in some two-parters. You felt rushed, but the episodes were good, and if you would have fleshed them out, they would have been even better. Um, least favorite episode. Least favorite episode of the first half of the season. Power of Three. What
Oh yes.
a bore. Second half of the episode. Crimson Horror. And I mentioned this last week. What the hell was going on during that entire episode? I still don't understand it, and I've watched it 3 times now. I really don't get it.
How the fuck did she get rocket technology?
In the 1800s, the alien didn't give it to her, and people in vacuum tubes, whatever. We went over this last week, so James.
Well, okay. So, my favorite thing about this season, the fact that now Clara has a definition. Clara has been defined as a person, and we know what Clara is like. Clara, this previous episode, Clara was not an enigma. Clara was a person. And Clara had been defined as the warrior woman who will defend her young. And although these children were not hers, they were still children that she took care of, and they were still children that she was very passionate about, and that spoke to me.
Yeah.
And to me, this past episode, I guess Nightmare in Silver has to be my favorite part of the season. Clara now has can now support herself without the doctor. We finally have a companion in this whole tenure since Eccleston started, that a companion that can support themselves without the doctor, and
Well,
that is brilliant.
you did have
Um,
Leela.
well, I said since Eccleston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say,
Since Eccleston.
stab things
To
with a knife.
piggyback off James' point about the warrior woman who will protect her young, it seems like each time we've met Clara, she has something to do with children a lot. Asylum of
And
the Dogs,
she's
she's the junior entertainment manager, which I don't know whether it means she entertains the kids or she's like under some other entertainer. And
yeah.
then obviously in the Snowman, she's the nanny, and then she's nannying again, and then she's heavily involved with kids. So I'm wondering if that is important to her story or her
Yeah.
point.
Well, looking back onto the pawns, and then I'll put the pawns to rest. Um, Looking back onto them, we all know that the pawns had one child, Mel, and after Devil's Run, Amy could no longer have children. So that's been kind of the theme since Matt Smith took over is children. The fact of having a child, having resemblance of a child, having the innocence of a child. Matt Smith started out with Amy Pond as a child, and that tenure happened. The second season, Matt Smith and the Ponds had the child, Mel, and the third season, the Ponds couldn't have a child. Now, um, Clara is taking care of the children, and this has been her theme. Which, amazingly enough, all of this just came to me. I think this is how conspiracy theorists work. I think it happens this easily. But
Oh my.
now, uh, Clara is the protector. She is the defender. She is the tigress and her cubs, and she has finally been defined as the protector. And that beckons to me. I like where this is going, and it took this long for me to get to like her, which is the thing I don't like about this season is that it took so fucking long to get Clara to be defined. I mean, they could have done a little less with the Crimson Horde. They could have done a little less with any of the other episodes, but instead of portraying Clara as the weakling in the Cold War, instead of portraying Clara as the weakling in what was that, the first episode of the season,
Wasn't that the bells of St.
the
Bells of
Bells
John?
of
St.
Saint
John.
John, she was so wimpy all these episodes, and finally, the penultimate episode, she is defined. That's what kills me, is that it took so many episodes to define who she is. I mean, you can't rush into it like Leela, where she was immediately defending and she was immediately the warrior. I understand that. You can't do that in today's day and age. You cannot bring a character as rash as Leela into a society without a little bit more explanation behind what she is. I get it. But it took so long to figure out who she was. It took all of season 7 to figure out who she was. And now the season finale, we know who she is, sort of, and we know what she's like. I guess that should be the corrected thing. We know who she likes or what she's like. My least favorite episode still has to be The Power of Three, because it was one of the most boring episodes I've ever seen in my life. It led up to this big finale, and then what? I mean, these cubes were just there for what? I mean, what? This crazy bald-headed thing that looks like Darth Vader when he removed his mask? Like, I mean, he looks like a hard-boiled egg that's been laying out in the sun for 3 days.
You know
I
what's
mean,
sad? I haven't seen that episode since it aired, and I remember it being boring, but I don't even remember that part. It's completely blocked out of my mind.
Same. I remember seen it, and then I just don't.
Well,
I just blocked it.
They give such big explanation to who this alien creature is, and then all of a sudden, they don't explain any more than that. He's on screen for less than about 15 seconds. And, I mean, they tell you who he is, they tell you what he does, but they don't tell you his history. They don't give any explanation to what he is. I mean, obviously the Doctor has encountered him before, and it didn't give any explanation.
It could have been better as a two-parter. You never know.
Yes. Which leads me into my next thing. Don't you find it odd that every alien creature that the Doctor runs into, he's met before? Like, there is no inquisitation to the Doctor and all these alien creatures. The Doctor knows who they are, but even though they may not know the Doctor knows exactly what kind of alien species they are. He knows what home planet they're from. He knows this and this and this and that. Which leads me to believe, could the Doctor have telepathy? Could the Doctor actually be able to read minds? And does the Doctor have an ability to project his thoughts into other people? Is that a thing? Because we all know that the Eighth Doctor had some sort of level of telepathy where he could read minds and look at a person and know what their future is, know what their past is like, know where they're headed, but he wouldn't tell them.
A lot of times, though, the movie is not considered canon.
Well,
so you know,
is canon.
I think a lot of people do consider it canon. So I don't.
I mean, I consider the movie canon. I consider the Doctor canon. I don't consider. Well, actually, we're almost forced to consider everything that happened in the movie to be canon because it does carry the Doctor Who name. We have accepted Peter. Wow. Peter. We have accepted Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor,
which is weird because you love Paul McGann.
Oh God, I drool for Paul McGann. Paul McGann, if you're listening to this, yeah, let's talk.
I think you want to. It sounds like you want to do more than talk, but
let's say my bed is big enough for the two. Oh.
And on the reversal side,
I'm doing a little Mae West impression over here. Oh, hello, big boy. Oh.
I'm stopping this now.
What am I turning into?
But kind of to piggyback off one of James's earlier points, and this is something that I thought of now. It's like, can we get a companion that's not from 21st century London?
Yes,
please.
That would be fun. Like, look at Jamie. Look at Zoe.
Aye, Doctor.
Yeah, aye, Doctor. You'll have an oots boots in my kilter. What, Jamie? Shut up.
That's funny because half the time I couldn't understand him. I don't know what you're saying, Jamie, but I like you anyway.
Jamie, get your speech together.
Jamie, Zoe, no.
But I want to see a companion that, like Leela, where she's a rogue warrior, like raw power, somebody who's uncivilized, and the Doctor shows them the world. I don't want to see the Doctor go through time sequentially and pick up companions from today's day and age. I mean, you can't go five years in the future, 5 years into the past to pick up companions. No! Wow, I got really passionate there. I want companions that have 100-year difference or 1,000-year difference. Not a companion who has a 5-year difference. But, yeah, sorry, I kind of raged out there a little bit, but I made my point.
Like you were saying, they did that in, the classic series, but now I feel like the writers are afraid to do it.
They're playing a safe zone, and that's what I think Stephen
Moffat bad thing.
Exactly. In theater and in film and in television, if you play in the safe zone, you're not going to have a satisfied audience. You're going to have an audience that goes, I will accept that, but it's no different than I'll just accept it.
And go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, you have to take risks. You have to go out there in the world and fuck Clara. Go back in time and pick up a male companion from 17th century France, from the French Revolution or something like that. I mean,
Doctor,
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
pick up
But
Jean Valjean.
Oh dear God.
The deleted scene from Les Miserables.
Les Miserables. But
Or as my, or as I have a friend who calls it miserable lesbians.
Miserables. I have a friend that calls it that. Um,
But
I,
yeah,
I
I
lost my train of thought
that's
completely.
that's my rant. I mean, I they're playing it too much in the safe
Oh,
zone, and I think if Stephen Moffat's afraid of cancellation again, he's afraid that if he plays it outside the safe zone, that he will not achieve the results that he wants.
on
And I think that's one of the things about theater that makes it that way is that even if you don't achieve what you want, you still have multiple tries to try it again. And if he doesn't, although it's a little bit different in film, if you don't achieve what you want, then you may not have another chance,
yeah.
which is unfortunately the risk that you have to take in film is that you have to play it riskily and take that chance and take the risk of people not liking it or play it in the safe zone and just smudge by.
And on the flip side, I think it's the fact that since Stephen Moffat has taken over, towards the end of David Tennant's reign, it became mainstream. And I think
Yes.
the fact that it is mainstream, I don't think he wants to play it outside of the safe zone to lose that mainstream image. I think the fact that it's in the mainstream is the reason that we're not seeing companions from far out in the future, far back in the past, or from a different planet, or anything that would make sense
He's
in Doctor
playing
Who.
Clara as the general girl who thinks that she's Joe Schmo anybody or Joetta Schmo anybody, where she can she's somebody from the modern day and age where the doctor can go and pick up anybody on the street and have them be his companion.
Hmm.
And I think that's what he's trying to play right now is that anybody can be a companion and anybody can smudge by and be this celebrated person who travels with the doctor.
And again, most important woman in the universe.
Yes. And he's like trying to play it like Fabio, where every woman is beautiful and every woman is sexy.
Get an
Oh, I just got the worst image in my head. Oh, good
get an ugly woman as the
Lord.
companion. There you go.
What? Would you say,
No,
Scott?
what?
I said get an ugly woman as the companion, and there you
Oh
go.
God.
Oh dear.
All the ugly women of the world rejoice.
Oh,
Well, Alexis, will you share your
so
thought with us?
I would I would love to, now that I've lost my train of thought after James gave me that horrible mental image. Fabio with just Stephen Moffat's face imposed on him.
That is a Photoshop project for me tonight.
Oh no. Don't don't don't. It
Oh,
would
I'm
be the
going to.
nightmare.
Oh, I'm going to.
He looks like Mr. Bean with a wig. Oh God.
Oh dear. Oh,
Oh
oh.
jeez.
I,
Let's continue on,
great.
please. Oh.
Okay, so continuing on, since we don't, we should probably start wrapping up here. Um, what will make you the angriest in this episode? What if something is there something that could happen in this episode that will just anger you? And oh my gosh, I had words I was gonna say, but I completely lost it.
I think I got what you're trying to say, and
Yeah.
if it's okay with you guys, I will go ahead and express my frustrations first, so that way you guys can take a chance to think about it, because I already know what would make me most angry about this episode. Is if Stephen Moffat plays the regenerations like a shtick, like he's only doing the regenerations just for the sake of showing regenerations, because this year we know is the 50th anniversary, and if he plays the Doctor's regenerations coming back as sort of not storyline, but as like, hey, look what we can do with the technologies of modern film, blah 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 blah. That would make me the most angriest is if he played the Doctor's coming back as sort of a shtick thing and not having a proper storyline to go along with it.
All right.
And that's the end of my rant.
That I agree with that, because what I feel like is going to happen is we're getting all these teasers about, oh, all these doctors are going to show up, and I feel like I don't want to get that excited because they'll probably just show up for just a few seconds and
Yes.
meh.
I understand that completely. And although it would be very hard to piece together bits and pieces of all these episodes, very much to what the YouTube user Babblecolor, before his stuff got taken down, he pieced together all these clips from all the previous Doctor's episodes and created an entirely awesome fan-made episode called The 10 Doctors, which was absolutely phenomenal. And it was gorgeous even. And unfortunately his stuff got taken down by the BBC because, well,
Oh,
one, he got a job at the BBC because of such beautiful editing work that he did,
And his colorizations.
and his
Oh
colorizations.
my
Oh
god.
my god.
And
They were absolutely gorgeous. They made me speechless. Like, I thought I was actually looking at colored film.
yeah, as a
Like,
person who does colorizations in his free time, I've done a couple clips of Patrick Troughton, and just doing his face in a 5 second clip is literally a half-hour process for 5 seconds for one body part.
and
It's
this man made
incredible.
3 20-minute episodes. I think they were 20 minutes long. But, I mean, it was supposed to be a 4-part episode. However, because of him getting a job at the BBC, he could no longer work on it, and thus he had to give it up, and then all of his stuff got taken down. So, yeah,
all right.
that's
So,
my rant. What about you, Scott or Alexis?
okay. Well, I kind of, to piggyback off James' answer, like I was saying before, if it's just shown for a few brief seconds, and also the thing that will annoy me even more is I'm looking at these pictures on Tumblr and the stills that came out, and I hope they're not just while River is not my favorite companion. I enjoy her, but she's not my favorite. But I hope they're not just using her for a Sarah Jane slash Rose cat fight like they had in the new series again. Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
totally agree with you there. I hope this doesn't turn into a cat fight. He said, she said, I'm better than you.
yeah.
Scott!
Would Scott like to join in?
Yes. The only thing that would make me really upset about the upcoming episode is if it's rushed. That is the one thing that I think would really piss me off, is if I feel like it could have gone longer and they didn't resolve it, or it was just a magic boom. Oh, everything's better now. The whole
Another
Deus
big
Ex,
friendly button, yes.
yeah, the whole
That
Deus
would.
Ex Machina that I keep hearing about. If it keeps going like that, then I'm going to be very frustrated, and I'll probably watch the 50th. And if it does piss me off, I'll just go back to watching Classic Who. I won't tune in for the new episodes at all. So, Stephen Moffat, if you're listening,
Don't piss us off.
yeah, don't piss us off, or you will lose some great fan base. So please
Yeah.
make sure the episode is nice and polished, which I guess it has to be at this point since they've already released the DVD supposedly. So, yeah.
Hopefully,
Yes.
he's proud of what he's sending out, because I'm sure Saturday there will be a lot of strong opinions.
Yes. Which is one thing I'm incredibly looking forward to, is seeing reactions to the new episode.
God, I have to work.
Oh, yeah.
I have to work until 11 that night, so I have to stay off the internet most of the day.
So, with our closing statements, let's make a prediction of, out of 1 out of 10, let's make a prediction of what we think the episode will be. Personally, I believe from what I've been seeing, I will give it a 9 out of 10 just on what I've seen so far.
All right. I'm going to have to go a little lower because I'm not as confident, I guess. I'm going to have to give it either, I don't know, I'm going between a 7 or an 8 here. Because I think it will be good. I'm just not sure I'm going to be in love with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Scott?
I'm gonna say it's probably going to be a 6 or a 7. I'm hoping that it's a 10 or an 11, but
Well, it could be a 12.
Oh,
Oh, you see
Whoa.
what I did there? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get so tired of all these jokes eventually, but not anytime soon. Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
I
So,
guess that should wrap it up for us.
thank you
I think so.
everybody for listening to our ramblings
Thank you, listeners. We love you all.
and for trying to follow our insane mind.
Yes.
Yes, we
Um,
definitely are mad fans with a podcast.
yeah. Also, fans, a special look into what we're upcoming in this podcast season. Following the name of the doctor, we will have our typical review podcast like we do every normal week. The week after, we will start in on each one of the classic doctors, starting with William Hartnell and following on, looking into some of the highlights of their season, some of the least favorite episodes of the season. Also, famous notables that you guys can look forward to if you're looking into starting in on each classic Doctor. We'll give you a starting place so that you guys can get into, classic series, or if you're just looking for a place to start or trying to start over with your classic Who experience, we'll give you a place to start, and we'll give you our recommendations, our mad fan recommendations. So, so that's something to look forward to.
Yes, so definitely now that I am kind of less busy, at least for a little bit in life, um, there will be more site updates and more Facebook updates. So keep an eye out for those, definitely.
And again, just to reiterate what we had said last week, stay tuned on our Facebook page. Put in suggestions, put in comments, suggestions that you'd like to hear us talk about, stuff that you had heard that you'd like to hear us talk about. We'll use our investigative sleuth skills to try to get to the bottom of it, and we will definitely do our best to
Yes.
make it happen for you guys.
I I am a journalism major, so I can definitely get those sleuth skills in there. I will
And
find
apparently,
what
I
you
was a
need.
philosopher in a past life, so.
And
Clearly.
and I'm the techie, so that all
So
works.
between the three of us and whatever special guests we may have on any week, we will definitely try our best to make it work for all of us. So from mad fans of a podcast, mad fans with a podcast, to you guys, we thank you, and we stretch across space and time to make it work for you.
Now that we
I just made that up on the spot. I
Very
hope it works.
poetic. Very poetic.
slow clap. All right.
Somebody has to
With
start it.
that, we will leave you. Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
Night,
Night.
Everybody.
night,
Night.
Everybody.
night,
Night.
Everybody.
night,
Everybody.
night,
Everybody.
night,
Everybody.
night,
Everybody.